says live up there in the red.
Oh, okay. Yeah. All right, Facebook. Thanks for coming in. Thanks for being on. And thanks for being, I'm happy to be back here, IntellectualRadio.com. So I appreciate you all tuning in to me. So you hear this, the Greater You Show, as I get ready to prep for it and everything. I look forward to helping you all out. Please tune in. Please share. And also you can go to Intellectual Radio and hear some of these things again if you want. And share that information with people. So today we're going to be doing the book on My Habits Rules. So get ready. And I'm going to let you all take a sneak peek before I get started. So I'm ready.
5, 4.
And welcome to the Greater You Show. And I'm your host, Dr. Anthony L. Gant, here on IntellectualRadio.com. So I'm glad you're here with me. I know you could be anywhere, and you decided to be here with me, so I'm going to make it worth your time while we're here. And this show is a self-help show, again called A Greater You Show. And obviously, we're here to help you become a greater person, a better person, and improve in many areas of your life. So in today's show, in this month, the topic we're going to talk about today are habits, and how to turn your bad habits into good habits, and turn your good habits into great habits. And you have to do that first by actually identifying some habits. So we're going to come from the book, My Habits Rule, one of the books I've written. Again, every Sunday we're on here at 8 o'clock Central Standard Time, here on IntellectualRadio.com. So let's get started. Let's talk about habits. We're going to get right into it. So we got 60 minutes to do what we do. And hopefully you get a pen and some paper or somewhere to take notes so that you can actually understand what we're talking about regarding habits. So we're going to come out of chapter 1, lesson 1 in the book that I have. So obviously I'm not going to be able to cover the whole book, an entire book in the month, but we will actually talk about lesson 1 and a couple other lessons as we go through the month as well. So we're going to talk about, when you think of your habits, everything you do is a habit. There's nothing that you do. You cannot be alive and not do anything. See, anything you do are actions, and all your actions are habits. You know, matter of fact, you sleep the same way. You eat the same way. These are all habits. These are things that you do all the time. These are your doings. So that's what a habit is. It's something that you do. So if you're not doing anything, that's a habit too. So you can do nothing the same way at the same times too. So when you're doing something and doing a habit, your world or your life cannot revolve around you doing some type of habit. The habits you do will determine the life you're going to live. So if you're living a bad life or a good life, that's going to be predicated on whether or not, based on the habits that you're doing. So when you think of habits, you think of actions. When you think of actions, you think of doings. When you think of doings, you're thinking of ways. See, your ways are your actions, are your doings, and they all will make an impact on your life. Now, the impact they make on your life may be different, but they're still going to make an impact on your life. So if you don't understand that your habits are making an impact on your life, then you may do bad habits more often. So the reality is, you, me, everyone on the planet, every day we're doing some type of habit, right? So you need to ask yourself, are you doing good habits or bad habits? Because here's the reality. Good habits will not allow you to live a bad life. And bad habits will not allow you to live a good life. So if you want to live a good life, you're going to have to do good habits. So your life, my life, everybody's life, has been customized by the habits that you do. You custom make your life so that your life can actually fit into a way that you're going to live. What do I mean by that? When you customize, let's look at clothing, for instance. If someone customized an outfit for you, that means that it fits you. It's your size. See, your habits fit the life that you're living. If you don't like the life that you're living, then you need to look at the habits that you're doing and probably need to stop doing them. If you do like the life that you're living, now, even though you can like the habits and they can be bad, you can still like the bad lifestyle. See, because there's only two lifestyles you and I can live. Either the lifestyle is going to be a good lifestyle or it's going to be a bad lifestyle. And good habits, again, do not fit into a bad lifestyle, and bad habits do not fit into a good lifestyle. Now, when we think about that, many times people, they do all type of things to want to get success. They chase things. They chase success. They chase cars, houses, boats, planes, people. And nothing wrong with that, I guess, if that's what you want to do. But instead of them chasing people or chasing things, all they need to do is get the habits, and the habits will get the things that you want. Now, you may say, wait a minute, hold on a second. See, people say, I want to be a millionaire. People say, I want to be whatever. But they don't get the habits of a millionaire, so they can't become a millionaire. People say that they want to actually do something well in life, but they don't get the habits to do something well in life. See, if you don't get the right habits, you can't get the results that you're looking for. Because, see, habit in and of itself, it's laws to habits. Habit itself is not a law, even though some people may explain it that way. That's okay, that's their perception of it. But habit itself have several different laws that you and I are working with every day. See, the laws of habit, you're working with it whether you live in a bad life or whether you live in a good life, you're still doing something with the laws of habit. Either way it goes. So let's look at, when you say habit, let's see, can we break it down a little bit more? That the habits you do, or the actions that you do, or that I do, or what anyone else does, are nothing but it's behavior. See, we're always behaving. Whether the behaving is good or the behaving is bad, it's still behaving, right? So if you always behaving, then if you don't like what's happening in your life, you need to look at your behaving or behavior, right? How are you behaving will determine what type of lifestyle you're going to live. So let's take a look. The root word to behavior is behave. Now, behave has two words in there. You have be, B-E, and you have, H-A-V-E. So the behavior or your habits will make a major impact on the person that you will be or become. So if you don't like who you are or who you have became, then all you need to do is look at the habits that you have, because the habits that you have made a major impact on who you are or who you have become. Now, if you don't like what you have, then you need to look at the habits that you're doing, because the habits that you're doing is making a large impact on the having that you have. If you don't like your having, then that means you need to dislike your habits. If you love your habits and not getting what you want to have, then your habits are getting in the way of the things you want to have. So, this means that you have to take an inventory of your habits. Why? Because everywhere you go, you're taking your habits with you. You're doing your habits all day. Now, you may not do all of your habits every day, but every day you're doing habits all day long. You're doing your habits at home. You're doing your habits at work. You're doing your habits in the neighborhood. You're doing your habits when you go to church. You're doing your habits when you go all over the place. So if you have these habits, and what will happen is that every habit you do, you're going to get better at doing that habit the longer you do the habit. See, here's the reality. Either what you're doing in your life is making a good life greater, or what you're doing in your life is making a bad life worse. So if your life is already bad, and then you do more bad habits, trust me, your life will not get good. It's going to get worse than what it is, because you keep doing bad habits better than what you were doing before. If your life is good and you wanted to get it to great, that means that you're going to have to keep doing good habits so that all those good habits can equal up to a great lifestyle. Now, when I say lifestyles, sometimes people may get a little confused and think a lifestyle is based on the car you have, or a lifestyle is based on the house you have, and all those things. That's not really what I'm referring to as lifestyle. Because you can have a nice big old house and be an alcoholic. Because that's a habit. So even though you got this big old house, you still got a bad habit that can destroy your life. Because bad habits will destroy your life every single day of the week. Good habits will build your life every single day of the week. The better you get at doing more good habits, the better your life will get. Because if you don't do good habits, you're setting yourself up to live a bad lifestyle. See, this is why it seems as though people can't change. Now, people can change, but this is why it seems as though people can't change. Because they did bad habits yesterday, and they brought those bad habits into today. They're better at doing these bad habits today than they were yesterday, because they got yesterday's experience on their side. So now the bad habit is getting worse. Now, let's use something, and I'm not coming against anybody that drink or anything like that, to each his own, right? But here's what I'm going to say. Have you ever noticed when people drink, or if you drink or something like that, they say, hey, my tolerance has gotten better. I remember when I first started drinking, I could only drink a sip. 10 years later, they drink 2/5. And you said, well, whoa, how did they get to that point? because they got better at doing the habit, and because they got better at doing the habit, we blamed it on my tolerance level has gotten better. I can tolerate it more now. Well, the reason is you just got better at doing a bad habit. And eventually, your bad habit will take you further and further away from living a good life. And the further you get away from living a good life, you're going to be convinced that you should keep doing your bad habits. Because bad habits, I'm going to say this numerous times this month on this show and throughout the month, bad habits will not allow you to live a good life. Bad habits will get in the way of you every single day in helping you and preventing you from living a good life. If you want to live a good lifestyle, you have to start doing good habits. Now, here's another problem what people have. They would say, hey, I want to live a good life, but I want to bring my bad habits right along with me. Now, those bad habits become bad friends, so to speak, right? Because all of your habits will connect you with people that do the same type of habits. See, you may do the habit just a little, and they do the habit a lot, but you will actually end up being attracted to them because you're attracted to the habit, and being attracted to the habit will make sure you get attracted to the lifestyle that's connected with the habit. There's not a habit that you do that's not connected to the lifestyle that it fit into. So bad habits connect you to bad lifestyles. Good habits connect you to good lifestyles. Now, you may say, well, I did a good habit yesterday or the day before. How come my life hasn't changed? Just because you did one day of good habits don't mean that erase the whole 500 days of bad habits. You're going to have to do more and more good habits more often so you can have your bad habits get beat up by your good habits. But if you only think that you're going to do a good habit once in a while, because all habits, you must understand, are temporary. No habit itself is permanent. Now see, that's good to know if you got bad habits. Might be bad to know if you got good habits. See, this is what happened to people, right? They said, man, when I was younger, I used to be really in good shape, right? I used to be, muscle person, right? And then, you see them like, 15 years later, and they like 5 people, right? That's how big they've gotten, right? And you said, man, you used to be in good shape, man, 15 years ago. He said, I don't know what happened. Well, I'll tell you what happened. They were doing good habits at that time, 15 years ago, and then they stopped doing those good habits and started doing bad habits, and then they end up being two more sizes or 3 people bigger, right? Now, I'm not trying to make anyone feel bad or anything about weight. I'm just giving you an example of that's how these things happen for us because we start tolerating our bad habits. And we find other people that have the same type of bad habits like we have, and then because it's easy to tolerate somebody else's bad habit, you got the same type of bad habit. That's why, my mom used to always tell me, birds of a feather flock together. Well, that's why they do, because they're doing the same stuff. People, when I was in high school, I didn't do well in high school, right? When I say do well, I had D's and F's across the board, right? That's kind of how my report card looked at the time, right? But I never hung out with people that did A's. They had A's and B's. We didn't go to study together and all that stuff because we didn't do the same thing, right? So I couldn't get the same result they had because I didn't have the same habits that they had. They would study at night before tests. I watch TV at night before tests, right? They'll go and try to jump on homework right when they get home. I try to go out and play when I got home. See, my habits were different. That's why my results were different. And that's why they got all A's and I got all D's. Because we had different habits. It didn't mean that they were better than me as a person. It didn't mean that I was worse than them as a person. What it did mean is that they had better habits than I had as a person, and I had worse habits than they had. Now, here's the interesting thing. I was better at my bad habits than they were at my bad habits. And they were better with their good habits than I was at their good habits. That's how life goes. Whether you're 15, 25, 55, 85. It doesn't matter. You're doing habits every day of the week. And because you're doing these habits, they're making an impact on who you are or who you will become. See, this is how come some people after a while, they've been doing something for 10, 20 years. They're 40, 50, 60 years old, and they just think, man, life is over. I'm not going to be able to get better. I'm not going to be able to kick this habit because I've been doing it so long because the habit will make an impact on who you will become. And you will start believing if you're doing a bunch of bad habits, you'll start believing that you're a bad person. And then you'll do another bad habit because you believe you're a bad person, and that bad habit goes with the other 2 bad habits you did. So now you got all these bad habits going along every day of the week, and then now you're convinced at 25, 35, 40 years old that I'm a bad person because I got this string of bad habits following me for the last decade, last 20 years, last 50 years, or whatever it may be. So now people just give up and say, well, I might as well keep doing it. I'm 42 years old. I might as well keep doing it. I'm 75 years old. Even though every time you do a bad habit, it's going to do something bad to you, and it's going to do something bad for you. Every time you do a good habit, it's going to do something good to you, and it's going to do something good for you. Now here's the problem with us, a lot of us. We stop doing good habits because nothing good happened to us right away. Let's say, for instance, I want to lose 25 pounds, right? And I said, man, I'm too big, well, all my clothes don't fit. So I said, man, I'm going to go to the health club, or I'm going to start exercising, or I'm going to do something at home, or whatever, right? So I walk around the block one time, then I get back on the scale, and I said, man, I still weigh the same amount. So I might do it 2 days in a row, and I said, man, forget this stuff, man, because I'm still the same size. So I get rid of doing the good habit because nothing good looked like it happened to me right away. Now I got a bad habit, right? Say, hey, you know what, I'm trying to keep myself fit, but now I'm eating a pizza at midnight, right? But see, it didn't do anything to me. See, it's not like I had a heart attack or nothing because I had a pizza, right? So the next day, I ate another pizza, right? Because nothing bad happened to me right away. So now I keep this up, and then 3, 4, 5 years later, I gained 40, 50 pounds. And I'm trying to figure out, when did this start? When did this happen? It started the moment I started eating pizzas at midnight. But nothing bad happened to me, so I didn't see it happen. How come I stopped doing the good habit? Because nothing good happened to me when I started doing the habit. That's really the law of consequences. You'll learn that in the book, right? That's the law of consequences. And the law of consequences said that every time you do a habit, you immediately put yourself in a lifestyle. And the other part of that is, eventually you'll realize you're there. See, no one picks at 15 years old, I want to be a drug addict at 35. Nobody picks a life like that. Nobody says, yeah, I want to lose 5 jobs because I got this bad addiction. I want to mess up my family. I want to break up everything around in all my relationships. No one says anything like that. No one will pick a life to do something like that. Okay, then, since no one would do that, why does it happen? Well, the reason why it happens is because people pick the habit, and then the habit puts you in the lifestyle. So you don't have to worry about whether or not you want to choose a good lifestyle or a bad lifestyle. All you need to do is see what habits you have choosing to do, and they're going to determine whether or not you're going to live a good life or a bad life. See, people run around and say, hey, I know what I need. I need a prophet to talk to me. Nothing against that. I need a psychic to talk to me. Nothing against that. I need a horoscope to tell me what tomorrow going to be. Nothing against that either. However, here's the reality. You don't need none of that. What you need to do is look at your habits, and your habits will be your personal prophet. If you got bad habits, it will prophesy that you're going to have a bad lifestyle. See, you are a self-fulfilling prophecy. I am a self-fulfilling prophecy based on the habits that we do. You are fulfilling the prophecy of the habits that you did yesterday, last year, 5 years ago. And guess what? The habits that you're doing today will predict the lifestyle you're going to live next year, 5 years from now, 10 years from now. Because you can't escape your habits, and you can't escape the lifestyle that those habits are connected to. Now, so you need to understand that. I need to understand it. It'd be nice if we understood that at 10 years old, right? Because maybe we would not have turned down some habits at 11 or 12 years old. Maybe some things we wouldn't have picked up at 20 years old, and now we're still trying to fight them at 40 years old. Because, see, the habit that you do will predict the life you're going to live. Here's a saying for you. You're going to get what your habits predict. Your habits will predict your future for you. You don't need to worry about that, whether or not it's going to predict my future for you. That's based on the law of examining. You need to examine the habits that you have. So something that you probably can do today, right? And you should do this often. Maybe you need to take an inventory of what type of habits you have going on, right? What type of habits do I do? Now, you can't think of probably all of your habits that you do all day long, but you need to see some of the habits that you do, and you need to write them down, your good ones and your bad ones. Because if you don't know what you're doing good or bad, then it's kind of hard to repeat having a good life when you don't know what good habits you are doing. Because the truth of the matter is, you and I, everyone on the planet, there's something good in regards to habits that you are doing. And if you can't identify any good habits that you're doing, let me give you a clue. That means you're probably doing too many bad habits. See, you're doing some good habits. I don't care if it's habits you clean your house. I don't care if the habits are you clean your body. I don't care if the habits you clean your car. Whatever it is, you're doing some good habits every day. However, when you looking at your bad habits, because see, bad habits will make you feel bad. They may not make you feel bad when you're doing them. So if you're out there turning up and everything, you don't feel bad. You feel wonderful. You say, hey man, this is what's up. This is what's going on. We turning up. We having a good time, right? We taking it to the head, right? All those things that they say when you're out there, right? Because they bottoms up. All that stuff, right? And it seems like you're having a good time. But after a while, now you're out there fighting every time you go to the club. Nobody want to hang out with you because, they got to drag you out the car because you get all intoxicated. Right? All these things happen. Then you're saying things to people that you can't take back. Because bad habits will have you do bad things to yourself, and they'll have you do bad things to other people. See, one of the easiest ways for you to live an embarrassing life is by doing a bunch of bad habits. One of the best ways to live an admired life is by doing a bunch of good habits. See, when you do a bunch of bad habits, not only do you embarrass yourself, you embarrass people that you love. And you embarrass people that love you. There's a lot of people that love you. It could be parents, siblings, friends, children that love you, but you got these bad habits and you embarrassing yourself and you embarrassing them too. Now, because you have a bad habit, and again, I'm not trying to talk about people that have that. I'm trying to give you an example so you can understand the impact that your habits make on you. The impact that they make on your being, the impact that they make on your having, your behavior is impacting your life. And if you do a bunch of bad habits, I'm telling you, you're gonna tear up a bunch of relationships because you're doing a bunch of bad habits. You're gonna tear up a bunch of job opportunities or career opportunities because of doing a bunch of bad habits. Then people feel that you are selfish. And the truth of the matter is, you are selfish when you do a bunch of bad habits. But what you're really tearing up is your own self-dignity. Your own self-dignity is being destroyed by doing a bunch of bad habits every day. See, this is why when your dignity becomes non-existent, this is when you really have been addicted to the habit. Now see, here's the song that we all sing, right? Oh, I got this habit under control. I'm good. I can stop anytime I want to. If I want to stop right now, I could. This is what we say. We lie to ourselves so much with our bad habits. Your bad habits will fool you to believe that you got control over it. But the truth of the matter is, your habits have control over you. That's why your habits rule your world. They rule you. You are following the rules that your habits have done to you and done for you. And now, because here's the thing, right? You can look at whatever you do. Somebody does it pretty well, right? Somebody does it well. But if you ask them how they do it well, and they give you the recipe, so to speak, for how they do it well, I'm telling you, it's the habits. They'll tell you, I do this in the morning, do this at night, do this, and they'll tell you exactly what they do, right? That means that those are the habits. Now, if you evaluate that and make an assessment, you would say, well, I don't do that. Well, that's probably why you don't have the result they have, because this is what they do to create that result. For instance, before I come on a show, I have to prep and go over my notes and everything, and this is why I don't have to open up the book and all these things. I go over this thing for 2 hours. I mean, the day before, I'm listening to it, because I read all my books on recorder. So I'm listening to them as I come to the station, right? So I am prepping myself, so I don't even need to actually go and say, what do I need to read next? Because I have practiced that. Well, the same thing with you. With all our habits, we practice our habits. So because we practice our habits, that makes you a professional of a lifestyle. You are, you got doctors and lawyers and different people, they're professionals, right? Athletes, and we say they're professionals. That means they practice doing certain things to be a professional in that. The truth of the matter is, you, I, everybody you know, they're professionals with the habits that they do. Some people are professionals that live in bad lives. They're professional at it. They're good. They know exactly what habits to do that, right? And some people, if I ask you, how do you live a bad life, right? It's almost like when you see a movie or a play or something in that nature, and the people are acting, right? They're acting out parts of the character. So let's say, for instance, the character is supposed to be a mean person or a mad person, got an anger issue, and that's the character. Now, we know that we're watching a movie, right? We know that, right? Or watching a play. But a person is acting like a mad person, and they're throwing things around or yelling and screaming and everything, right? Because here's the reality. If I ask you how to live a bad life, you can give me the recipe for it. Not that you live one. You know what it takes to live a bad life. See, you should be afraid to do bad habits, and you should be happy to do good habits. And here's what I mean. Because once you understand that bad habits will always make sure I fit into a bad lifestyle. Not sometimes, all the time. Now, I may not realize it when I'm doing a bad habit, but eventually it's going to show up. And I'm saying, man, I didn't realize at 35 years old that I'd be living a life like this. Well, why didn't you realize that? We told you at 15, stop doing that. You'll live a life like this. But they realized it at 35, 20 years later, but that's not when it happened. It happened 20 years before. And the same thing happened with you and I. So it's easy to pick up bad habits and probably harder to pick up good habits because, we just don't know. We just don't come out trying to do good habits. But it's hard to get rid of bad habits, and it's easy to get rid of good ones. So that's why every day you got to try to find some good habits to do to make sure they help you stay in a good lifestyle. If you don't do that, then you put yourself in a position where you're going to be living a bad lifestyle. I'm telling you, a bad lifestyle. So I had some bad habits, right? And I fight off every day trying to fight off some of the bad habits I had by trying to do some good habits. So you just can't say, I'm going to stop doing that bad habit and I'm good. Keep in mind what I said at the beginning of the show, right? Every day you're always doing something. Every day you're alive, you are doing actions. And those actions are habits. So you may say, I'm going to stop doing that particular action. I'm going to stop doing that bad habit. But that means you have to replace that habit with a good habit. If you don't do a replacement of the habit, it won't be long before the habit that you thought you stopped doing, you'll be doing again. You say, wait a minute, I haven't done this in a month. I haven't done this in 5 years, 10 years. You never replace the habit to do it with other good habits. And if you don't get good at that, then you put yourself in a position where you're not good at becoming better as a person. So here's something that you have to ask yourself. So what habits do I have that's hurting my life? See, now you don't have to be 100 years old to figure this out, right? You can be 30 years old and figure this out. You can be 60. It doesn't matter. You don't have to be an old person because you and I both know what habits we need to work on, right? And again, just because you have some bad habits, that does not make you a bad person, right? And just because you have some good habits, maybe you do exercise all the time. Maybe you always run around the block. Maybe you're in really, really good shape. That does not give you permission to be arrogant and act like, a bad person or arrogant person because I may not run around the block every day. That doesn't mean just because you got your finances in order and you know how to keep your finances in order, that you got a good habit with your finances, doesn't mean that you talk negatively about people that don't. Maybe they just need work with the habit. They have to do a little bit more work to get that habit up because they've been doing bad habits maybe longer than you. Okay, you might do some good things, but show me how to do the same good thing you're doing. Don't talk about me because I'm not doing the good thing you're doing. I don't want to keep doing these bad habits, but you talking about me bad makes me want to keep doing the bad habit because I feel worse by actually doing the habit. So you have to realize that the habits you do and the habits you have done is making an impact on your being. See, that's what I really want you to get out of today. They're making an impact on who you will become. They're making an impact on how you will feel about yourself. You can't do a bunch of bad habits and feel good. Now, I've done several bad habits. You've probably done several bad habits. But it's not a bunch of bad habits you can do and say, ooh, I feel so good after that. Yeah, I drank up all the alcohol on the shelf. Ooh, I really feel great. Yeah, I ate up everything in Burger King. Ooh, I really feel good. No, you don't. You feel good when you do good habits. When you say, you know what, I put that down today. I'm not gonna drink that today. Then you feel good because you had that one day of feeling good. Then maybe next Saturday you do it again. Maybe this Saturday you walk around the block. Okay, I know nobody's going to clap for you just because you walked around the block, but you're doing this for your own self-dignity. You're doing this to make you be better, make you feel better, so that you can have better than what you have. You can't get better things if you're doing bad habits, and you can't get worse things if you're doing good habits. No good habit is too small not to do. I don't care what it is. You say, well, you know what, I want to actually get better, I don't know, I want to get in shape, right? I want to comb my hair more, whatever it may be, right? Well, your hair pretty raggedy right now, right? Well, you might have to just say, I'm just going to call on one side today, right? And see what happens. But you might do a little bit at a time to help you with the habit, because it's going to help with your self-dignity. Because when your self-dignity gets so low, you're going to start living a desperate life. You're going to start doing some things you're going to regret. You're going to start doing some things you wish you hadn't done. And you're going to start living a certain way that you wish you would live. See, this is how we end up having these bad lives, and then this drives us to try to escape the life that we're living. Every habit that you do, that I do, you are trying to escape something, and you are trying to obtain something. A lot of people are trying to escape a bad life, and you can't escape a bad life by doing another bad habit. That just puts you further into the bad lifestyle. The only way you can escape a bad life is by doing good habits. Good habits will pull you out of a bad life, and bad habits will pull you out of a good life. This is how people can be on their road doing really, really good, and they start doing one bad habit, doing another bad habit. And we may have seen this on television with a celebrity or whatever. And said, man, they always getting in trouble. Man, every year they in trouble doing something. Man, why they keep getting in trouble? Why don't they just sit down, right? Well, the problem is they got these habits, and these habits are bad, and they do another bad habit. And if you ask them, they'll say, I don't know why I did that. I don't know why I keep getting in trouble. Because nobody just want to go get in trouble. Nobody walking around saying, I think I'm going to get in trouble. It's been nothing but trouble all my life. No, their behavior is making an impact on their being. So now you have a year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years of doing these bad habits, and you're going to always revert back to what you know. That's why bad habits will not allow you to live a good life. See, you can have a good situation come to you. Somebody just gave you $1 million, right? You say, oh my God, man, this is what's up. I got $1 million, right? But then we look at you in 6 months, and not only do you not have the $1 million anymore, you in debt $1 million. Why? Because the same habits you had with the $1 million is the same habits you had with 1,000. If you are tricking off $1,000, we give you $1 million, you're going to trick that off. And that's the unfortunate part about doing a bunch of bad habits. See, here it is. See, some people think when you talk about bad habits, bad lifestyles, good lifestyles, what they think a lot of times is that when you say, hey, Mr., Mrs., lady, guy, you're going the wrong direction. You keep that up, you're going to be in this situation. So what they would say, you trying to say something bad about my life. You trying to say something negative about me. You speaking negative things. You got negative energy. Wait a minute. How do I have negative energy about your life when you're doing negative habits? See, if you're trying to go north, let's say, suppose you're in Chicago, right? That's where I am, right? And you're in Chicago. And you say, I want to go to Texas, right? I'm going to drive to Texas. And you get on the expressway, and everything you going is called north. And you're driving, and I say, hey man, you're not going to get to Texas going this way. You're going to end up in Canada. You say, hey, you trying to speak bad things over my life. You trying to say that I'm a bad person. You always speaking negative over my life. Next thing you know, you find yourself in Wisconsin. You say, I say, man, you're going to end up in Canada, man. You keep doing what you're doing. See, there you go, speaking negative. I thought you wanted to end up in Texas. I'm going to get to Texas. Okay. Next thing you know, you in Minnesota. Right? And I said, hey, man, you're going to end up in Canada. You keep doing what you're doing. See, there you go, speaking negative about me. You got negative energy. All these things, right? No, your habits are predicting that. You are doing the things to get you to Canada. You said you wanted to get to Texas. You're not doing things to get you to Texas. You're going the wrong way. And the reason why you're going the wrong way is because you're doing the wrong things. And doing the wrong things is nothing more than doing the wrong habits. Because you're doing the wrong habits, you can't say, I want to do bad habits and get a good result. That, in my world, is called insanity. You can't expect to do a bunch of bad stuff and then say, I'm going to get something good out of it. No, that's not how it goes. Like, you can't expect to do a bunch of good stuff and get bad out of it. You're going to have to actually do good habits. And if someone is trying to share with you, hey, these are the good habits that you need to do for your health. These are the good habits you need to do for your career or do with your finances. That's what people need to give you a recipe. I'm not doing anything here but giving you a recipe. Giving you recipes or understanding the importance of the habits that you're doing. Don't take lightly the habits that you're doing. Don't disregard the habits that you're doing, whether they're good or whether they're bad. If they're bad, we have to work on doing better habits, or the opposite. Like I just used the example, you want to go to Texas, which is south from Chicago, but you end up doing everything going north, which is near Canada. See, you have to do the opposite of what you're doing. If the opposite of what you're doing right now is destroying your life, if you do the opposite, then you can actually rebuild your life. Habits can help you rebuild a bad life, and good habits can help you rebuild a bad life, and bad habits will help you destroy a good one. You need to understand that, because your being, who you are, is being impacted. Now let me make this clear. The habits that you do, they aren't who you are. The habits that you do will make an impact on who you are. The habits that you do aren't what you have, and they're not more important than who you are, what you have. But they will make an impact on who you are and what you have. Once you understand that, and once you understand that clearly, now you start trying to set a pace to do good habits. And then, when you know that, okay, wait a minute, what does it take for me to get into a good lifestyle? It takes me doing a good habit. Here's the reality. I already used the fact that we customize our life with our habits. Anything that's customized is personalized. So really what you're doing, you're assigning your name to the habit that you're doing, right? So for instance, let's just use this for example. If someone had a mouthful of rotten teeth, I'm not trying to talk about people that have rotten teeth, but I'm giving an example, right? And they have a mouth, rotten teeth, man. I mean, all they toothsets, all their teeth are just rotten, right? Now, if I ask you, what do you think happened to that person at 40 years old to have rotten teeth all in their mouth? You would say they probably don't brush, right? They probably don't brush the teeth, floss the teeth, and all that stuff, right? And that's probably true, because they got a habit of not cleaning their teeth. So it may have taken 25 years for all of them to get rotten. But the truth of the matter is, they all got rotten, not because they were a bad person. They got rotten because they didn't do a good habit. And that's how you have to realize with your life, and all of us have to realize that. You have to try to find good habits to do. And you have to always try to stack these good habits on top of each other as often as you can. See, the reality is, you and I pay for the lifestyles that we live in. The habits that you do is the currency that you have to pay for the lifestyle that you live in. Your habits is the currency. So when you have a bad life, you paid for that. Now that may sound cruel, it may sound hard. Man, I didn't pay for this bad life. Yeah, you did. You paid for it by the habits that you do. You have a good life, you paid for that. You said, no, I didn't pay for it. Yeah, you did. By the habits that you do. Your habits are how you pay for a lifestyle. They're how you make a deposit on a lifestyle. You are making a deposit on your lifestyle, right? And it's almost like a down payment. First time you do the habit, you're making a down payment on it. The next time you do a habit, you're making a monthly payment on it. You know what I'm saying? You're just paying on this lifestyle. And guess what? There's not, you can't pay it off, but you can stop paying for it by doing a good habit to put you in a good lifestyle. But if you keep doing a habit, you're steady paying for that lifestyle. Again, that's good if you have a good habit. That's bad if you're doing bad habits, because you're consistently paying for a bad lifestyle. See, because here's the thing. The habits that you do, they're creating something. You know how we say people are products of their environment. And that's having a partial truth. But here's the reality. People are products of their habits. And the habits that you do will create an environment for you to live in. See, you're doing a habit and it's creating an environment. This is why people have bad circumstances one after another. Now see, keep in mind, some things in life out of your control. Things that happen in your life have nothing to do with you. Just stuff happens, right? Out of your control. But most of the bad stuff that happened to you and I is well within our control, because it's the habits that we did to create that bad circumstance. So people that say, I'm moving out of the city, I'm moving out of the suburbs, I'm moving out of that state, I'm moving out of that country. What they keep forgetting is that they're taking themselves and their habits with them. This is why they have the same bad circumstance in one city like they had in another city. The same bad circumstance in one state like they had in another state. They say, I'm going to get me some better friends. I'm going to get me some good people. I'm going to move over here on this side. You talk to them 6 months later, they got the same thing going on.
They lost another job. How do you lose another job? Well, I went in there and cursed the boss out. That's what you did at the last job, right? Yeah, and the job before that, yeah. See, you got the same habit. Even though you got a different job, a different boss, you did the same habit to create the same type of situation or circumstances. So let's look at this for instance. Circumstances is broken up in a couple of words. Circum means circle, right? And obviously the word stances is the word stand. So in actuality, you are standing in the center of your circle, which are your circumstances. And your circumstances, 90% of the time, probably even more than that, are created by the habits that you do. You got bad habits. You say, I don't know, everywhere I go, it's some bad stuff happening. And you trying to figure out what the problem is? It must be mama, it must be daddy, it must be son, daughter, grandma, it must be the people across the street, tall people, short people. It must be their fault. Old people, it's young people's fault. No, we got to look in the mirror, and then we got to look at these habits that we do and say, wait a minute. Maybe it has something to do with me. Maybe it's what I'm doing that's creating these circumstances that I'm living. So if I want to create better circumstances in my life, I need to actually do better habits in my life. Because now here's the thing. I told you everything is out of our control. Some things out of our control, right? Not everything, but some things, right? See, you can have a bad situation show up that's out of your control. And if you do bad habits, the situation will get worse. Or you can have a bad situation that's out of your control, and if you do good habits, you end up getting out of that situation. Not because you're better than somebody else, you just got good habits, right? Same thing on the other side. Some things are out of our control that's good. You get, some good thing happened to you and everything. Because you got a bad habit, you will tear that good thing up. You can take people that tear up houses in a bad community, and you can put them in a good house, in a good community, and they'll tear that house up too. And you say, whoa, why they do that? Why they do that? It's not because of skin color. It's not because of age. It's not because of gender. It's because of habits. That's what they do. They tear stuff up. So when they got to another place, they just did themselves. You can tell another person, they can be in an old, messed up house and everything. They fix it all up and make it look clean. You can't even believe you in this neighborhood. This house looks so good. And even though they're in a terrible area, the place still look good because they have good habits. And that's what we all have to work on, the habits that we do. Keep in mind, you pay for the lifestyle that you're living by the habits that you are doing. Your doings, your ways are your tendencies. They're patterns. You know what you're going to do because you know what habits that you're doing. If you don't know what habits you're doing, after a while you can't blame anybody from having one bad circumstance after another that's been created by the habits that you do. Again, we all have some bad habits where we got to beat up on. And the only way that you can beat up on bad habits is by doing good habits. Because if you don't do enough good habits to beat up on these bad habits, don't worry. Just give it enough time. These bad habits will beat up on you. They're going to beat you up. And for some reason, bad habits don't take no break. They don't say, hey, you know what, we've been beating up on you for 5 years. We'll take a break for 5. No, they just keep beating you up. Could you imagine physically if somebody just walked around and kept hitting you in the face? And that's all they did, just hit you in the face every time they see you. And they don't take a break. I mean, you bleeding and everything, nose broken, all that stuff. They just keep punching you. That's how bad habits do to you. Doing a bunch of bad habits is fighting against yourself. While doing a bunch of good habits is fighting with yourself. Most of us don't work well with ourselves because we do too many bad habits. But once you start doing better habits, you start working with yourself more. You start actually accomplishing more. You start achieving more. You start being a better person more because you're doing better habits more often. See, and again, don't get upset because you might have fell off the wagon today, right? Whatever your wagon may happen to be, right? You can always get a chance. If you wake up tomorrow and, all you need is evidence that you can do a habit at least one good time. And if you did it one good time, you can do it again. And then you can do it again. And then you can do another good habit. And then you can do another good habit. This is how you start building a good life for yourself. It doesn't mean anybody else. It doesn't mean that you're trying to be perfect. But see, I've been through life, and life done hit me in the face consistently, beat me up because of my bad habits. I've done that before already. And it don't feel good. It don't feel good going to bed, getting beat up all day by bad habits, then waking up in the morning, getting beat up again by bad habits. That don't feel good. Now, it may feel good to some people, but after you beat me up a few times, I'm going to try to do something different, right? Because I'm trying to escape a bad life by doing good habits. That's what we all try to do. You are always on the run from something. Now, you know what you're on the run from. I may not know, but you're running from something. And that's what these habits are doing because we're trying to escape. See, people don't do all these bad habits because they just like doing bad habits. They're trying to escape something. It might be some feelings. It might be some things that happen in their life, their childhood, adulthood, whatever. Some things happen, so they're trying to escape some things. And I told you earlier, you always going to do something. As long as you're alive, as long as you wake up every day, you're going to do something. You're gonna think something, you're going to feel something, you're going to do something. You're going to do something regarding the habits. Now, if they were that big, now, I didn't really understand the power of habits until I became an adult. And I wish somebody would have told me the power of habits when I was like 8. 7 years old, 5 maybe. I mean, they could have waited to 10. But, I mean, my habits would beat me up for a long time. And I didn't understand what was going on. Because I wanted to blame somebody. This got to be somebody else's fault for my life this raggedy. Right? It can't be my fault. It gotta, but this belongs to somebody else. But after I became an adult and I realized, man, everywhere I'm going, man, I'm getting the same old raggedy results. I'm getting the same old raggedy things happening to me all the time. That's when I said, maybe I need to change some things. Maybe I need to stop drinking all the time. Right? Maybe I just cut that out. I mean, all my finances messed up because I didn't drink that all the way. Right? Maybe I need to do something different with my life instead of doing stuff like that. Maybe I need to read a book. Maybe I need to drink a bottle of water and stop trying to drink something else that's going to intoxicate me. Right? Because of the fact that these things were beating up my life. And when they beat up your life, you feel bad. I need some money. I'm going to get some money. I got to try to scheme and get some money. No, you don't. But see, if that's your habit, you become a schemer all your life. There's some people, you say, man, that dude too old to be acting like that. Well, that's, he's doing his habits. That's his common sense, right? People say, well, no, that's, people don't have common sense anymore. That's not common sense. Well, yeah, it's common to him and it makes sense to him. That's why he keeps doing it. So people can't change who they are if they don't change the habits that they do. If you want to change your life, I'll tell you exactly how to do it. Change your habits and you will change your life. Would it happen overnight? No. Would it happen over time? Yes. But you have to change the habits. So you have to actually learn how to actually do better habits. Now you may say, hey man, I know I got these rotten teeth, man. I had these rotten teeth for like, 2 or 3 years, 10 years, right? Because I haven't brushed since I was 12 years old. See, this is what people normally do. They said, oh man, I used to do that when I was a kid. My mama taught me how to do that. My daddy taught me how to do that. And well, why you not doing it now? It was a good habit when mama and daddy taught you at 12, but you haven't done it in 30 years. You wondering why you having all these different problems. My mama used to always feed me a salad every day. Well, you haven't had a salad in 10 years. Then you wonder why you have digestive issues. Right? It's like, I don't know why I'm having all these problems. Maybe because you got bad eating habits. So if you get you some better eating habits, maybe you'll have a better body. Right? Maybe things will happen for you better if you do some better things. That may sound kind of simple. I'm not a deep person, so I'm all in about simplicity. See, and life is simple, right? But when you don't know what's going on, it seems so complicated. See, life is real simple. It's simple to live a good life by doing good habits. And see, I'll be honest with you, some people may think that's boring. You doing good habits and everything, that's kind of boring. See, because people think that doing bad habits is pleasurable. They think it's wonderful. They're like, man, I love doing these bad habits. Man, we have so much fun, we do these bad habits. But if you listen to their story, think about this, right? People go out and they get intoxicated, right? They say, we're going to go out and have a party, y'all. You just got promoted. And they go out there and get intoxicated, drunk and everything, and don't remember what happened. Now, when you think about that, how is that fun? You didn't remember what happened last night. You lost your wallet, lost your keys to your house. You don't know how you got back home. All these things happened to you, and you said you had fun. Because you trying to escape something, you trying to put the bad habit as your pleasure. But here's the reality. It won't give you no pleasure when the after effects happen with that bad habit. But a good habit may seem kind of boring. See, a good habit may seem like it's more work. And here's the truth of the matter is, it is more work doing good habits. I'm not trying to lead you on thinking it's real easy. It's more work to do a good habit every day. It's more work to do a good habit every week, every month. But the question you need to ask yourself, how bad do I want to live a good lifestyle? Do I really want to live a good lifestyle? If the question is not, an adamant yes, I'm telling you, you're going to start doing bad habits. You must be interested and be sold on the fact that living a good lifestyle is much better than living a bad lifestyle. I'm going to close with this because I only got a couple minutes. So here's the thing. The habits that you do will put a style on your life. The style on your life will have... Okay. The style on your life would be predicated on the habits that you do. So either you can put a good style on or a bad style on. And the habits that you would do would determine that. And sometimes we don't want to look at the last 5 years, the last year, the last 3 years, last 20 years, because they look so bad. These things are raggedy, right? And then there go our dignity. We feel bad because the last 5 years we wasted doing a bunch of bad habits, right? But see, the thing is you have to identify the fact that those are the bad habits you did. But here's the thing. Here's the hopeful part. I can do the opposite of that. Yeah, that might have been what I've done the last 5 years, the last 10 years, or the last 50 years. But the good part is I can do the opposite of that for this day. I don't know how many more days you're going to have, even though you may have done this for 50 years or 20 years. But let's say we're going to go out. Let's say that you only got 5 years left. Then go out and try to do the next 5 years as many good habits as you can do for the next 5 years, right? No, will it erase the last 30 years you did all those bad habits? No, it will not. However, would it make the next 5 years better than the last 5? Yes, it will. So your job is to do as many good habits as possible. So here's some homework for you, because it's like a class and everything, because we're going to come back next week and talk about habits some more, because I got some more information for you. See, it's a thick book, so apparently I got a lot of stuff. So here's the thing. You, sometime today or whenever you get opportunity, just take your sheet of paper and just write down the good habits that you do and write down some of the bad habits that you do, right? So you can identify what these are. Now, again, don't try to lie to yourself. I don't have no bad habits. You a lie. Everybody got some bad habits. All of us trying to beat up on bad habits. You aren't perfect. I know somebody probably told you that, or maybe you think you are, but you got some bad habits too. Maybe you don't talk to people. Maybe you don't talk to people good, right? Maybe you got bad habits and you know, you talk to your husband, wife, your son or daughter, or whatever, parents, all bad. That's a habit. You need to improve on those habits so you can do them better. And when you improve on those habits of doing better, then you'll become better too. So, make that list and then start doing some of the good habits. See what good habits you can start on doing today or tomorrow. And with that said, now obviously I'll be here every Sunday on IntellectualRadio.com. You can go back and look at this, you know, as often as you want. You can go to YouTube and look at it as well. You know, you can make comments there. Obviously, you want to send me questions, you definitely can. You can send them to fullerpurposemedia@gmail.com. I'll try to make sure I can answer the questions for you on the next show and tell you what those are in the book. So obviously this was the first one. I'll be a little bit more succinct on the second one. I promise you I'll get better. You know, I try to grab me some good habits during the week so I can be better next week for you and when we show back up again. But keep this in mind, right? And obviously I got a show on Wednesday here at Intellectual Radio. There's a lot of other shows here, so you can look at a lot of other shows as well on Intellectual Radio. So keep in mind that great people are born great, but they need to have better habits to become greater. And I'll see you next time. You got me?
Yeah.
I'm out. All right, Facebook, thanks for showing up. I do appreciate it. Hope you learned something. Please hit the share button, share with a bunch of people. I know they got some habits, you know, that they can do some help for them. So I do appreciate you all taking the time, being here, taking time out of your day, out your life. I hope I share something with you to help you out with your life. Come back next week. Same time, same place. I'll be here waiting on you. All right, thanks again.
Good job.
Woo, thanks, bro.
Sound like you ain't Mr. B.
Sound like I missed I don't know. I think I did. I'm like, man. Ooh, shit, I need my glasses.
Look at that.